This is the Crest Report, heard every single weekend on this station. And fortunately, you've tuned in to hear Rich talk about gold and silver and precious metals. Rich, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, this is great, man. So what happened with gold over the week, I should say?
So gold is still up 50%. Silver's up around 60%.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so things are still stable, still climbing. And but unfortunately, the dollar is weakening as we see. I think it's down about 11% year to date.
What does that mean for the average person?
Well, it's basically the weakest first-year performance since the Reagan era.
Ooh, not good.
That's not good at all. So, and with the devalue of the dollar, and I'm assuming you saw what happened with Bitcoin, went from, I think, 124 to, I think, what was it, 80,000?
Wow.
So it took a massive dip. So it just solidifies that investing in gold and silver is the right thing to do and not as volatile as some of these other things that are going on right now.
But ultimately, didn't that have to happen to Bitcoin? I mean, $120,000 for one Bitcoin, that seems like, like comedy money.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just air.
Right.
It's just imaginary.
Air.
Yeah, it's imaginary money. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I remember when it was at $10,000 a Bitcoin, and then it went to 17, and then I've seen the slow, steady rise of it. I know people that do Bitcoin mining, but it's not something sustainable, in my opinion.
Right.
People say it's going to go to $1 million. I don't see that happening the way these massive dips and peaks and valleys are happening with Bitcoin. So, it's interesting to say that gold and silver are still holding their own, even through all this turmoil.
Right, but when you own Bitcoin, you can't show that to anybody. You can't put it in your hand and say, here, look at my Bitcoin. Or can you? I mean, is there an actual coin at the end of the rainbow?
No, I mean,
no.
I mean, you're just buying a digital dollar.
Right.
Basically.
So with real estate, you can show people property or a house or a condo, whatever. With buying a boat or a car, that even has some value. But when you buy Bitcoin, there's nothing there.
No, and I don't like the fact you can get locked out, lose your password.
Right.
Get compromised. There's all these different things that can happen where people have lost not only money on Bitcoin, but lost access to the Bitcoin. So why not get into something physical that you can actually hold in your hands, or it's in a depository that's insured that you don't have to worry about?
I got involved with Bitcoin. It wasn't Bitcoin. It was one of the, subsidiaries of Bitcoin. A friend of mine said, hey, it's going up all the time. Give me $10,000 to get into Bitcoin. I said, oh, okay. That's down to $480.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was real thrilled with that. But, it's also very complicated to get in and find where you have to have a certain website to go in, and you have to have a password to go in. It's like getting into, into Fort Knox.
Yeah, I just don't believe in it, because what happens if, the server's down, or, the server gets compromised, your computer gets a virus, your password gets taken, there's it's over.
Yeah.
So, all that money you think you made is gone, so.
And all the money that you put into gold and silver, it's still right there, either on your person or in a vault somewhere.
Yeah. And we're still getting people saying, well, I should have bought, 6 months ago. And I'm like, okay. And so what are you calling us for? Right. Well, I want to see what happens in the next 6 months. Well, guess what? It's going to go up. So you're just going to, lose out. So,
yeah, they're going to say the same thing in 6 months.
Yeah, it's the same story. I hear it all the time. Yeah. It's the same thing with any investment I've heard from somebody, even in a stock. Let me see how it performs in the next 6 months.
Right.
So if it's high, you're not going to buy again. And if it's low, you're going to think that it's going to go lower. So, there's no win.
Call that number right now and get yourself up to 10 or get yourself 10% of free silver, whatever your purchase is, as long as it's a qualifying purchase. That means 10% of your purchase in free silver. If you buy let's say $100,000 worth of gold, you're going to get $10,000 worth of free silver. If you buy $250,000 worth of Mintage coins, premium Mintage coins, you're going to get $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. 3843. And that free silver is theirs immediately after they purchase.
Yes, immediately.
Immediately. At some point, you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And maybe today is the day. You got to call right now. Call Rich at GoldenCrest Metals right now. You're still offering up to $25,000 in free silver for a qualifying purchase.
Till the end of the year.
Till the end of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that is 10% of your purchase if you purchase premium Mintage coins. Here is your phone number. You can get up to $25,000 in free silver. 10% of your purchase price. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. One more time. 833-362-3843. You know, Rich, I looked up some premium Mintage coins over the week. Where do you recommend? Are you recommending middle of the road, high, low end?
It kind of depends on what your expectations are, and we always ask that, kind of when we do the quiz online are you looking for short term? Because short term is not really something we do. Gold and silver is not a short term burst.
Right.
It's more so long term. And when we go to long term, are we talking about 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And depending on that, we try to guide people. We're not financial advisors, but we try to guide them in the coins that appreciate over a certain period of time.
Right.
So it just depends on the type of coin. So there is a huge disparity between some of the premium coins that are coming out of Australia and Britain and Canada. So what we try to do is figure out which ones are in the highest demand and then try to put people in those coins that are looking for at a 1 year or 2 year return. People that are looking at 3 to 5 year returns, we put them in kind of the lower coins.
The lower ones are the buffaloes?
The buffaloes, the eagles, those type of coins, cougarans.
And do each one of those coins weigh exactly an ounce?
Yes.
That's
well, they weigh. You can buy them in quarter ounce, 1/10 ounce, half ounce.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, they sell coins that in 1/10 of an ounce and a quarter ounce.
Some of them they do.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they sell anything bigger than an ounce? Can you buy like a 40-pound coin?
You can buy a kilogram if you want. I think that's about $100,000+.
Can you buy a comedy coin? It's like 6 pounds of gold.
Yeah.
It's like those big bottles of Polo. Remember you go to Bullock's or Broadway and Polo would have that 5-gallon big bottle.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Call that number right now and get yourself up to 10 or get yourself 10% of free silver, whatever your purchase is, as long as it's a qualifying purchase. That means 10% of your purchase in free silver. If you buy 10 or let's say $100,000 worth of gold, you're going to get $10,000 worth of free silver. If you buy $250,000 worth of Mintage coins, premium Mintage coins, you're going to get $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. And that free silver is theirs immediately after they purchase.
Yes, immediately.
Immediately.
Yes.
And you can see that silver being put right next to your gold. By the way, I was thinking about this over the week. Do they send you pictures of your gold arriving?
No, they don't. There's actually a video, from what I've heard, is in Delaware Depository. They take a video of them, unpacking your silver and verifying it and everything else. I don't know how you get access to that video, but they do tape record everything.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Imagine the security around that vault.
I've always wondered that because I've kind of Googled it to see what's around it.
Right. Yeah, I bet it's not next to a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
All right, the dollar having the worst, we started talking about this at the top of the show, the dollar having the worst year since 1986, which I believe is the year the Mets won their last World Series. But that means that if you have $100,000 in the bank, you're losing money. I guess you would have to have a tremendous interest rate for you to break even.
Yeah, and nobody has a tremendous interest rate.
Right.
The banks pay, 3-4%, so you're losing money.
Right.
The dollar, I think, is down 11% this year alone. So, yeah, I mean, you're just losing money at this point, just leaving it in the bank. So,
right. And by the way, when you say you're losing money, it's because everything is becoming more expensive.
Groceries, inflation, everything is costing more money. You
Right.
know, it's getting to that. It's already at that point.
I just saw cars this week have gone over the $50,000 mark for a brand new car, for an average car.
Yeah.
$50,000.
I remember when it was, you know, what was it, like $20,000 was like a lot of money to spend on a car back
Sure.
in the day.
Yeah.
Now, just to get a stock car, it's like 50 grand, and some of these trucks are like $80,000 to $90,000.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And then you've got the, in California, where Rich and I both live, you're going to add 10% tax to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so a $50,000 car now costs you $55,000.
Yeah.
And then if I sell that back to the dealership and somebody else buys it, they're going to pay the tax again.
I thought all these prices would have dropped because of electric cars.
Right,
You
me
know,
too.
that's what I thought. And I was on a car lot today with my son, and we were looking at cars. And it's amazing that the prices are still going up
Yeah.
on cars.
It's
You know,
crazy.
gas-powered cars. It's just, I don't understand it.
What
So,
what dealership, what kind of car are you looking at?
so he was looking at a Hyundai.
Okay,
You
those are
know,
good
so,
cars.
yeah, it's a middle of the road car. You know, something to go to work in. But even looking at some of the models there, it was just too expensive. I mean, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I went shopping with my daughter looking for a car, and I swear to God, 2 weeks ago, she was just born.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also frustrating because you step on that lot and all those salesmen
I
like
know.
swarm you. You know,
That's right.
it's horrible. You
Right.
know, that's why when I started the business, I'm like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to
Right.
be one of those car salesmen that just pressure you. And what's it going to take to put you in this gold and silver today?
We went to look for a car for my wife, and we tried this routine. I heard it from a friend of mine. When one of the salesmen comes up to you, you just start doing sign language to each other. And unfortunately, we got a salesperson who knew sign language.
Oh, right. Yeah. So what are the chances of that?
Yeah, right. We got hosed. All right, phone them up right now. Call Rich right now. People are in the office, 833-362-3843. Premium Mintage coins. You're going to get 10% of the value of your premium Mintage coins, 10% of the purchase price, and free silver, absolutely free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. I read an article on CBS, a fairly conservative company still. Somebody reporting out of CBS that there are a significant amount of people who today, more than 5 years ago, get into precious metals and they want all silver.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking me, well, I don't want to do gold, I want to do silver. And I'm like, how much silver? All silver. And that seems to be the trend this week, at least from what I've seen, is that people weren't buying gold this week, they're buying silver. And I understand it because, we've gone over this before with like semiconductors and electric cars, solar panels, everything that's technology based requires silver. And we're starting to see, I think it was Robert Kiyosaki that made some predictions on silver as well.
Oh, that's who it was. That's the article I read.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I know he made some predictions on it. So a lot of people, obviously listen to him and are making that purchase towards silver.
That's funny. That's the guy that I read the article, and it was in CBS. Who is this guy? I've never heard of this guy.
So, I just started listening to him and, very informative. He's very pro metals, makes predictions about gold and silver. I think he's an economist in some way, but, he is really an advocate for precious metals, and he's been accurate too. Even though he doesn't endorse our company, he actually is pretty spot on.
And silver is up 50%, you say? Year
Yeah,
to year?
silver is up actually 60% this year.
60%. Wow. All right. Up 60%. And you don't have to have a lot to buy 1 ounce. It's around $50.
So that's the spot price.
Oh, the spot price.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the spot price. It goes up from there, just based on the type of coin that you pick or
Right.
metal.
And as you have stated before in previous shows, nobody's buying spot.
They're still calling. They're still it doesn't stop them from calling to say that what's the strike point,
That's great. And I love your reaction, man. Look, if I could buy spot, I wouldn't be sitting here.
No, I asked him for the phone number of the guy.
That's great. Call that number right now and get yourself up to 10 or get yourself 10% of free silver, whatever your purchase is, as long as it's a qualifying purchase. That means 10% of your purchase in free silver. If you buy 10 or let's say $100,000 worth of gold, you're going to get $10,000 worth of free silver. If you buy $250,000 worth of Mintage coins, premium Mintage coins, you're going to get $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. And that free silver is theirs immediately after they purchase.
Yes, immediately.
Let's talk about big banks. They warned of a 10 to 20% market correction, and there are some firms that are talking about 20 to 30%. What does that mean?
So it's still Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, which made the prediction about gold and silver. I think gold was going to hit 6,000 or 7,000 an ounce, and silver was almost going to double. Same companies that are making the predictions. There's still the consumer confidence level that's down, based on what's going on in the economy. And the funds are already rotating towards hard assets, so like precious metals.
So do you ever envision a time where the Chinese dollar ever surpassing the U.S. dollar in our lifetime?
It's hard to say because they are buying up a lot of gold right now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, and I'm sure you've heard of the BRICS currency and the fiat currency. Everyone's getting away from the dollar, and everyone's buying up. The central banks, obviously, are buying up gold and silver. Everyone's loading up on hard assets for something, and something's coming. They're going to reset the price of gold and silver, I think, pretty soon. And I think
what does that mean, to reset the price of gold?
They're just going to reprice it, and I think they're going to reprice it higher than what it's at right now.
Really? They could just do that, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
And it'll try to stabilize things.
Oh, so that could go up by thousands of dollars.
Who knows? We'd be guessing at this point, but
would you be shocked if it went up by
I wouldn't be
$2,000?
shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all if it went up thousands of dollars.
Man, that's just like a stock, a company selling and the stock goes, through the roof.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's kind of like getting in on an IPO.
Wow. All right, so that's another reason to buy gold.
Yeah,
Yes.
Get into gold and silver.
All right, call this number right now. If don't miss out before the big reset. If that happens, when are they predicting that? When is that going to happen?
They haven't really said yet, and I think that's why a lot of people are preparing for year end. That they're buying up a lot of silver and some gold.
Okay. All right. Here's the phone number: 833-362-3843. If you buy gold from Rich at GoldenCrest Metals, you're going to get 10% of your purchase price. If you buy premium Mintage coins, 10% in free silver, up to $250,000 in purchase. So that means $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. I finally saw somebody this week online copy your formula and offer the free silver. You're like a trendsetter when it comes to this.
Yeah, I'm really a trendsetter. I've seen it too. When somebody copies you, it's flattery.
Oh yeah. Extremist form of flattery. Is ripping people off of ideas. Is what it is. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and they all expect a sizable pullback. Also, what about people buying silver and the Mintage coins? I know that when you buy Mintage coins, premium Mintage coins in gold, you're going to pay X amount of more dollars. Is it the same percentage when you buy silver?
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit, I would say, sometimes higher.
Oh, really?
On silver, yeah, because of the demand right now. It's all about supply and demand, of what's going on with the coins. When I log in every day and I check in the pricing, some coins go up that I don't think went up from last week. So when I'm talking to a customer, sometimes what happens is that I quote them one price, and then on Friday, and then on Monday it's a different price. And they're like, "What happened?"
Right.
I'm like, "Well, I don't know.
It
It's
went
just
up.
it went up." So we tried our best, and that's why it's not to seem pushy. It's like we try to get the deals done as quick as possible to lock people in.
Right. How do people typically get the money to you to buy gold or silver? Do they wire it to you? You can't put it on a credit card, right?
No credit cards. It's usually a wire or a check. We usually prefer a check because the banks are really being difficult about wires to precious metal companies.
Really? Why
Yeah.
is that?
You know what? I think because a lot of people have been burned and the bank doesn't want to release the money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, nobody wants to release the money. If you're a financial advisor, a bank, or any institution,
Right.
you don't want to give up that money. You try to talk the person like your money is safe here. It's not safe if you put it into precious metals. Suddenly they're financial advisors. So,
Yeah, a guy worked at the bank for 3 weeks now.
yeah,
as
he's
an
the teller.
advisor. Yeah.
He's the teller, and he's giving you financial advice.
The
He
teller
doesn't
you-
have a Series 7 license or anything, but
Right.
he's giving financial advice. And we, like I said, we don't give financial advice. We just give you options.
We do live in a weird time. A cousin of my wife's was up in Oregon, and they were going to buy a boat for $12,500. And in the old days, you go to the bank, and the guy wanted cash for the boat.
Hmm.
You take out $12,500 and you go buy the boat. It took him 3 different banks. He got 4 from one, 3 from another, 7 from the banks didn't have the money, which is alarming.
That's the scary part. It's absolutely true. I've heard that from numerous people that have tried to pull money out of the bank to buy precious metals. We don't do cash purchases. We do cash purchases with checks,
Right.
but not actual physical cash, where people have actually said, "Hey, listen, I'll drive over with $50,000 of cash," and I'm like, "There's nothing I can do with it." I can't deposit it. So,
Right.
but I've heard a lot of people are having hard times pulling money out of the banks, like you said. They just don't have it.
But that should be a huge red flag for everybody.
I think if everybody went in at the same time to pull their money out, I'd say there would be a complete bank failure among all of the banks.
That's also true in stock. If everyone went in and, pulled out all of their money out of, SeaWorld, for instance, the money's not there.
No, it's not. It's already being used somewhere else.
Yeah. All right, call this number right now and get yourself 10% free silver when you buy premium mintage coins that are gold. You're going to get free silver, up to $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. You can also go to the website, GoldenCrestMetals.com, GoldenCrestMetals.com, and get your free silver. This deal does end January 1st. Is that what your guys are telling you?
Yeah, that's what everyone's telling me.
All right. What are most people in your world when they buy their very first gold coins? Do they want them coming to the house? They want to feel them and see them, or do they go right to the vault? Or it depends.
It just kind of depends on the customer. I mean, if it's a cash purchase, obviously it goes directly to the customer and they can touch and feel it. I've had customers say, "Well, I know it's in a depository, but how do I know it's in the depository?" I'm like, "Well, you get a statement, it's insured." "Yeah, but I want to go see it." "Well, then drive to Delaware." They'll let you in if you make an appointment. You can go and touch and feel your metals.
Would they really let you in?
They'll do it. There's some people that have done that.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they little tiny drawers? Like that's Dave's, that's Steve's?
I don't know how it works because I've never been inside Delaware Depository,
Right.
but
It must be huge.
it must be huge. It's not pixelated on Google Earth, so we know it exists.
Okay.
So, it's a real facility.
Right.
Some people will want to fly or drive out there to actually make an appointment
Wow.
to see their metals.
What a great documentary that would be,
Yeah.
In search of my metals.
Yeah, where are they?
Guy drives across country to see his 3 coins. Call right now. We're going to take a quick break, but during the break, call Rich and get up to $25,000 in free silver when you make a qualifying purchase of premium mintage coins. 833-362-3843. This deal is over at the first of the year, the end of this year, and the first day of 2026. This all comes crumbling down, and the deal is over. So take advantage of it. Your purchase goes up 10% immediately in free silver, and that silver will probably go up in the next year, and then you get that profit as well. 833-362-3843. 3843, 833-362-3843. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back. You're listening to the Crest Report right here on this beautiful state. All right, welcome back, everybody. Tim Conway Jr. along with Rich. We are here on the Crest Report every single week on this station, so come on back every week. We talk certainly about gold and silver and precious metals, but also current events and what's going on with the economy. I think you'll enjoy the program. So make it a note to come back every single time on the weekend to spend an hour with us. What the heck? All right, let's talk about gold and silver. I know gold has had an unbelievable run over the last year. What is it up year to date? You know, at this time in December or late November, early December of last year, what do you think it was? Was it in the twos? High twos?
I think it was like 2,800 in December of last year when I checked.
Okay, and now it's over 4,000.
It's over 4,000.
And I do see, some fluctuation. It goes up and down, but it seems like it will go up $120 and then down 40, up 80, down 30, and that's what you want.
That's really what you want to see. I mean, you do not want to see these huge swings that you're seeing like with Bitcoin.
Right.
Which is scary.
Right.
I mean, you want to be in something that's stable and something that moves $80 or $100. Sometimes it's, good when it's up, and then when it's down, it's not the end of the world.
Right, but I think it's something that, I think in America, we like to see what we own. And when you can't see what you own, I think it's discouraging, with Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, a boat. You own a boat, but you can't go on it.
Right. Exactly.
It's an imaginary boat.
Right. But when you have gold and silver, I think people have a tendency to believe, and probably rightfully so, that they've made it in life when they own gold, a considerable amount of gold.
Yeah, there's a certain, I guess, prestige and, having gold in your pocket and, owning it.
Yeah.
Same with silver. It's gone on for centuries. I mean, it's a way of wealth and knowledge.
Right. And it's not a sort of a bragging way. I mean, you don't, wear your gold coins on your wrist, but, people do have $80,000 Rolexes that they wear around.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy, nowadays with everybody ripping them off.
Yeah, did you see the video of that one guy who he got attacked for that? I don't know if it was a Rolex or what it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, he got attacked in that garage by 3 people.
Yeah, you could lose your life that way as well. For the life of me, until they get the crime situated, at least in Los Angeles, where we're broadcasting from, I don't know how people go out with expensive cars and buy Rolexes and walk around with, really expensive jewelry on. I don't know how you do that.
No, it's interesting. I tell my wife not to wear a wedding ring when we go out.
I did the same thing with my wife. Yeah.
It's just when she's out alone, I tell her not to wear it. Just there's no need for it.
My wife had a different response. I said, sweetie, I wouldn't wear your wedding ring, when we go out in public. And she said, Tim, it's not worth that much.
Oh, that's a nice response.
She goes, it's not that big a deal. Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to cut my finger off for this sucker.
Well, you'd be surprised what they cut fingers off in L.A. for.
I know. It's crazy. It is unbelievable. Call this number right now and get yourself some free silver, up to $25,000 in free silver when you make a qualifying purchase of premium mintage gold coins. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. And get yourself some coins. When did you buy your first coin? Do you remember?
I was in my teens.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was in my teens when I did it.
Wow. Was it a buffalo? Was it high end?
It was a buffalo and an eagle.
Okay.
I remember that.
Must have been under $1,000.
Yeah, it was. I bought it with Monopoly money. It was actually a gift, if anything, from my grandmother.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting how that passes on now these days that, people are buying for their grandkids.
And what's nice is that if you do call the phone number, 833-362-3843, and you do get, let's say you do make a purchase of $250,000 in premium mintage coins, and you get that 10% in free silver, that can be put aside for the kids or the grandkids, and don't touch that for 20 or 30 years, and it's theirs, and it's going to be a big help when they go to buy a house or they go to buy a car or their education.
Yeah, I mean, there was one unfortunate situation we had, in the last week where somebody had an irrevocable trust, and they couldn't touch their money the way it was set up, and he really wanted to buy gold and silver. So it was unfortunate, but sometimes there's those guidelines that they put in place that, they just can't get in. So we're trying to figure out something to help him out to get into the market, even at a lower entry mark.
Who puts those guidelines in? The guy the person
His actual dad did.
His dad did before he died?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know the background. I don't know if the son was a gambler, he didn't trust the kids or what. I don't know the story.
Right. There always is a story, though.
Yeah, there always is. As much as I'd like to be pro gold and silver, there's always another side of the story.
That is awesome. All right, let's talk about this project. Is it mBridge? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's mBridge.
And what is that? What is the global shift away from the dollar then? Is that everybody?
So it's 137 nations that are testing or using an alternative to the dollar right now.
And what is that going to look like?
It's devaluing the dollar is what it's doing.
Oh, really?
In the big picture. Yeah, everyone's getting, like I said, getting away from the dollar. So that's going to be happening or is happening. They're running real estate transactions through mBridge as well, which is China, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Thailand, so we're starting to see this shift now.
That's a big deal for the United States.
It's a big deal. I mean, we're starting to slowly see our economy erode.
Right.
In which you already know what's going on.
Right. And that's sort of a sense of warfare as well. I mean, if you could break a country financially without firing a shot, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, even in our country, the CIA is now confirmed, or I don't know if they confirmed it, a leak confirms that they're trying to control the digital dollar. And by control, they can lock you out. They can do all types of things. The CIA worked with private contractors to bypass surveillance restrictions. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're now, every transaction would be traceable. There's no warrant required. Savings, pensions, and retirement accounts sit at the center of this shift. So
oh, my God. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I mean, it's scary. I was actually watching somebody get interviewed on YouTube this week. I think I forgot his name, but he's the ethical hacker. And this guy can basically hack anything. And he comes up with all these certain gadgets that he can attach or that look like a USB or a SIM card or something. But it just goes to show you the guy can pretty much get into anything. And it just scares you that if he was on the wrong side, what he could do if you had a Bitcoin account and he could get into it.
Right. I saw that. I can't remember what TV show I was watching this week. And I saw him, getting into somebody's computer with just a little tiny, what looks like a USB stuck into a computer.
Yeah.
For 2 minutes, and then he has the whole system.
Yeah, and it has a built-in keyboard in.
Right, I saw that. Yeah.
So you saw it too.
Yeah.
So in the USB, and basically you pull it out, and then it has all the information on there. So
it can break an entire company.
Yeah, and he's got something called a flipper that you can program, all different types of gadgets. I mean, it was just interesting to watch this. And he's been on this show, I think, 2 times already, and he's kind of revealed what's going on. And, like I said, thank God he's, an ethical hacker, and he's going after child predators,
right.
and stuff like that. But he said, oh, and by the way, this is what I could do financially to you. It's just amazing.
I mean, it's amazing also if you remember what happened to MGM in Las Vegas. I mean, these casinos have the most secure systems in the world. And some guy called in, said he was somebody else, got a password, got in, and caused $200 or $300 million worth of damage.
Yeah.
And then they had to pay a ransom to get their equipment, just to get their servers back and back up online.
See, and I thought that whole ransomware thing was something of the past, but it's still going on.
Yeah, I guess it's still going on. Another reason to get into gold and silver, you have it in your hands. You can hold it. It can be sent to your home, or it can be sent to Delaware and put in a vault. Either way, it's yours. 833-362-3843. You're going to get 10% of your purchase of premium mintage coins in free silver, up to $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843, 833-362-3843. Premium mintage coins. You purchase them in gold, and you get free silver up to $25,000. That's a sweet deal. 833-362-3843. You know, the banks are also, I read an article this week that they are not just giving money out to anybody. They're really tightening up their lending.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to get a loan these days.
You know, in the old days, you could get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit on your house. And now there's some major banks that don't even write those anymore.
They don't write them, or they say, I think we talked about it last week too, that they have to have seasoning in the house.
Right.
So I remember back in 2008, you'd buy a house and then you'd get in the mail that, get your HELOC tomorrow.
Right.
So you're already getting a home equity line. But now you have to be in a house, I think, for about a year before they'll even consider you for a HELOC.
Right. And even if you don't use the HELOC, most companies will charge you $500 a year just to keep that account open.
Yeah.
Over something you may not use over a 10-year period, you're paying $5,000 for it.
Yeah, it makes
crazy.
Zero sense. I mean, this goes back to that 50-year loan thing,
right?
Which makes zero sense too.
Right? Yeah, that is
the $200 extra a month or something.
Yeah, it's not going to buy you a mansion.
Yeah,
it's going to pay. It's going to help you pay part of your car. And what about the credit cracks spreading? Is that in credit cards that you're seeing that?
The credit cracks is a little bit of both.
Okay.
I'm seeing that mostly in credit stress and slow earnings, appearing under the surface, basically.
Okay. All right. That's also not good news.
No.
Unless you have gold, then that might be decent news.
Like I said, that's why everyone's turning towards hard assets, physical gold and silver,
right?
Because of what's going on. And like you said, with credit cards and everything else, everyone's maxing out their credit cards these days.
Right. And there are a lot of people who are having their cars repoed because they can't pay for them anymore.
Yeah, people are living beyond their means these days, and with inflation and everything costing more money, it's harder to keep up. People aren't getting paid more money. They're losing jobs.
Right.
So you have all these things happening, but people are still living the same lifestyle as they were a couple of years ago, and it's not the same anymore. People don't know sometimes how to take your foot off the accelerator and reset and say, listen, maybe I just can't afford this right now.
Right,
but
they get used to a lifestyle and they need it. It's almost like a drug.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not going to switch. I'm not going to go down in a car,
right.
And I'm not going to go down in a house, and I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go to dinner, 3 nights a week, and maybe it's just once a week or a couple times a month.
Right, and when you go out to dinner, it used to be, you could go out for $20, you can get a steak and a potato. Now that's $75, $80.
Yeah, you're not going to Charlie Brown's anymore.
I remember that Charlie Brown's in Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
We used to go there all the time.
It was on top of the hill.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
On top of the hill.
Yeah.
Where I think there's like car dealerships there now.
Yeah.
That's funny. You and I remember that restaurant. I remember being in that restaurant when I was about 6, and my mom and dad told me we were going to Mammoth for winter vacation or spring vacation. And I remember where I was sitting. Wow, we're going to Mammoth. I mean, everyone always talked about Mammoth, and we were going to go. I was sitting in that Charlie Brown's restaurant when they told us that. Yeah. That's crazy. We remember that same restaurant. All right, call that number right now and get yourself free silver, $25,000, up to $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. It's with a qualifying purchase of gold, premium mintage coins. And then you get your free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. All right, let's talk about retirement. I know there are a lot of people listening to this station right now who are thinking about retiring, and they don't want to have to retire and then embarrass their family and friends and have to come out of retirement because they can't afford it. So gold is a good way to go when you do retire. How much gold do you recommend people have when they retire?
I would say about 20 to 30% of your net worth.
Oh, is that right? That's a lot of money for a lot of people, but maybe they've been, buying gold all along, and once they reach that, they feel comfortable.
There are some people that, already have it in their portfolio, so they're just adding on, but I wouldn't exceed 20 to 30%. I mean, it's even Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are saying the same thing. The 60-40 rule is kind of out the door. It's the 60-20-20 rule. So
Right.
they're saying 20%. I'm saying sometimes 30% based on the way things are going.
I have a buddy of mine who retired. He's 65, and he doesn't really need Social Security, but he did put into it, and he doesn't want to shortchange his wife and his kids. So he takes his Social Security check every single month and buys gold with it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
haven't seen him.
Yeah. He lives in New York.
Oh, okay.
But I should have him call you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's but you might as well buy it from you. You're going to buy it from somebody, might as well buy it from you. But it's an interesting way to do it, every single month. I don't know. I guess he's in like $3,500. So it's almost a gold coin every month.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You can add a little more to it, and it's 12 coins a year.
Yeah, there you go. You're all set.
That's right. All right, call that number right now, 833-362-3843, 833-362-3843. Wherever you are, you can buy gold from Rich at GoldenCrest Metals, GoldenCrest Metals. And when you sell gold, is there something where you have to be licensed in every state, or is that a national?
So in some states you have to be licensed to be on the phone, but
Right.
There's no Series 7's license like you would with a financial advisor because you're giving financial advice.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I kind of looked into that and kind of saw, maybe that's something we want to add to our, business as a Series 7 financial advisor.
What qualifies you as a Series 7?
So it's basically taking a test. It's, a financial test that, you have to take. And I forgot what the requirements are, but I think you have to put in so many hours with a brokerage house and, and then you can take the test. But you're able to give financial advice, which I was like thinking, maybe that's something we should add,
Right.
so people don't feel that we're just selling gold and silver. We're actually selling somebody that's objective on the process too.
Right, but it also seems like, once you do qualify and you have that certificate, that you would probably be given the same advice anyway.
You have to find somebody that's objective that doesn't have skin in the game.
I see. Adding somebody to the company.
Adding someone to the
Right.
company. Yeah. And I'm saying people may say, well, he's working for you, so he has an added advantage to skew or, switch the truth a little bit. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of these Series 7 guys that don't have skin in the game will give an honest answer. But the ones that have a portfolio and are getting a commission, it's very hard to, because I've talked to financial advisors that don't have a stake, an investment, and they say, yeah, gold and silver is the right thing to go, but I don't like recommending it because I lose money on my commission.
Right.
Because we don't offer that. We can offer an ETF, but that's really not the same.
Right. You've been in business for a long time. You must have some people with wild success stories. Somebody that has, purchased premium mintage coins years ago, and they've doubled in value, and now they're, very wealthy people.
Yeah, I would say wealthy, very wealthy. Like when I first started the company, I remember our first deal was a couple $100,000 and the guy's up probably 200 right now.
Really?
Yeah, he's up about 200 grand. So he's really happy. Is he super wealthy at this point based on the investment? It's subjective to say that. But
Right.
He's very happy, and it's a lot of money to make in a short period of time.
Well, I don't remember who said this, but he said in America, there's a difference between rich and wealthy. Shaquille O'Neal, when he played with the Lakers, was rich. The guys that paid him were wealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a big difference in this country.
There's always a big difference.
Yeah, huge difference. It's amazing, though, just in our lifetime, and you and I are about the same age. When we were younger, if you were a millionaire, people stopped and talked about you. Like, wow, guy's got $1 million. Now, if a guy's got $1 million, you're like, what's going on with that guy?
Well, don't you remember the movie Austin Powers when he asked for $1 million and they all looked at him like, what are you, crazy? That's nothing.
Right. Right. Now that level is a billionaire.
Yeah.
And even if you're a billionaire, it's like, you only have one?
Only one? You're not multiple? It's times have changed. I mean,
it's crazy. And that's just in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's probably in the last, 30 years?
Yeah, right. Yeah, in the
So,
last 30 years or
yeah.
so. All right, call this number right now and get yourself up to $25,000 in free silver. Free silver. You know, Thanksgiving is over, and you don't have anything to worry about between now and Christmas. So you can take some of that cash you got for Thanksgiving, like, you know, people always get big checks for Thanksgiving, and you can put it into gold or silver. If you buy premium mintage coins from Rich at GoldenCrest Metals, he's going to give you 10% of your purchase price in free silver, up to $25,000 in free silver. 833-362-3843. 833-362-3843. Again, one more time with the phone number. Write this down or punch it in your phone if you're not driving. 833-362-3843. And it's GoldenCrestMetals.com. GoldenCrestMetals.com. I understand the quiz is still up there on the internet. What's involved with that quiz?
It's just basically asking some simple questions to figure out what type of program to put the customer in.
Okay.
So we've had really good success with it lately because it allows us to understand the customer, so we don't have to ask them 20 questions, and they get exhausted, you know, when they're calling because they talk to one person, they explain their life story,
Sure.
and then they have to get transferred to someone else. And then the other person says, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they're like, forget it, I'm hanging up. They're so pissed off. So we try to do the quiz so we can take all that away and just get down to business.
Oh, that's good. And then people can take their time with it, too. They don't feel rushed.
Yeah, they don't feel rushed and everything else. So I'm trying to expand the quiz more. So because I know what it's like, you know, when you call a department and they're like, okay, let me get a senior on the phone.
Right.
And the senior goes, or how about when you call the bank and they're like, oh, we have to verify you again. You know, how many times does that happen? So you people hate repeating themselves. So I'm trying to figure out a way to streamline it. So when they answer all the questions, it's as easy as saying, okay, do you want to do this?
Right.
You know.
And also they may not be telling you the truth because they're embarrassed by part of their financial background, but they would be more inclined to just put the information in on the quiz.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, downplay what they have too on the phone because they don't want to tell you, you know, when you ask for their address, you know, we're going to send you a booklet and this, that. Oh yeah, and by the way, I have $1 million.
Right.
You know, they downplay and say, oh, I have, you know, $10,000.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, okay. It doesn't change our attitude at all. It says, okay, so this is what you can expect with 10,000. Okay, well, I really have this.
Speaking of verifying the name, this is a true story. My father, if you haven't put it together, was Tim Conway. He's no longer with us, but he was a very funny, very popular comedic actor who was on the Carol Burnett show. He did a lot of Disney movies. And I went to the bank. I remember I was about 13 or 14. Went to the bank with my dad. And the woman the teller recognized my dad and said, oh, my God, you're in the Carol Burnett show? And they talked for 15 minutes about sketches on the Carol Burnett show, about Apple Dumpling Gang, about the Dennis sketch, about McHale's Navy. And then after...
Can I interrupt you? Did she ask for his ID afterwards?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
At the end of it, she says, do you have your ID?
Yeah, it's the same thing. When I walk in the bank...
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, how you doing, Rich? You know, good. All right, so I'm making me a withdrawal. Let me see your ID. It's like they know you.
Right. You know, but back in the old days, now there's a common people feeder where you go back and forth before you get to a teller. But in the old days, you would go to the teller that knew you.
Yeah.
And my dad would go to the bank that knew him. He was very famous. He had a Q rating, which is, basically the Q rating is how many people in the United States know who you are. And his was at 92 out of 100.
Yeah.
You know, 92% of the nation knew who he was. And yet they still asked for ID.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, call this number right now. And before we get out of here, you've got to call right now and get yourself free silver. This is over in 4 weeks. This ends at the end of the year. We're already at the end of November. This Monday is going to be December 1st. And then this ends 4 weeks later. So don't miss out on this deal. 833-362-3843. You're going to get 10% of your purchase price in free silver, up to $25,000 in free silver when you buy premium mintage gold coins. 833-362-3843. 3843, 833-362-3843. You can also go to the website, and that's goldencrestmetals.com. Rich, nice to see you. We'll
Nice
see
to
you
see
here
you as
next
well.
weekend.
Look forward to it. Thanks,
All right,
Tim.
we'll see you all back here on this station next weekend. It is the Crest Report right here on this beautiful station.